I'm going to start with significance, harms, inherency, solvency, and then move on to the dissent. So Roman rule number 1, significance A. The negative team granted this point, and therefore they cannot give an argument stating anything. And they said even if that argument was Castro is a dictator, we agree with that, which is why we want to lift the embargo so that he will be a dictator and will give a transition to democracy. Moving on to Roman rule number 2, harms. 1. The negative claim that the EU is improving human rights. 2. I would like to say the evidence says that they are having negotiations and not real actions just to talk about democracy in Cuba and other things. And 2, we gave 2 pieces of evidence refuting the arguments, while the negative team only gave 1. And 3, our evidence is better because it comes from a special assistant to former U.S. President Ronald Reagan and a fellow at the Presidents in Congress Research Center, which are very qualified people to be talking about the subject. Moving on to Roman rule number 2, harms B. They said that we dropped it, and they said that Cuba's economy is good. As I said, we didn't drop this point. They said Cuba's economy is good, which is not refuting the fact that there is a lack of agricultural resources. And Judge, they dropped this point because they did not argue how agriculture is prospering or thriving in Cuba, and they cannot have new arguments in the rebuttals. So this automatically flows affirmative. Harm C was granted, meaning that they do agree that Cuba has unique ecological resources and they are being wasted. We went on to Roman rule number 3, inherency. It was granted, of course, because they do agree that the majority of Republicans don't want the plan, therefore it cannot be made right now, and that is the barrier. Moving on to solvency A. They said that the embargo makes things worse. Actually, we gave, again, 2 pieces of evidence, and I know a judge here is a math teacher, and 2 minus 1 is 1. That's 1 for the affirmative team and 0 for the negative team, meaning that we do win this point. And harms, they are also arguing harms on solvency, saying that saying that human rights are improving and it's not harmful right now. But what they should be agreeing is lifting the embargo will not give people justice, which they have not argued because that is not true. Moving on to B, they said that biodiversity is good. Biodiversity is about animals and creatures living in different areas, and we agree that the biodiversity is good. However, what they do not argue is the fact that Cuba and America will gain agricultural resources, and that is the original argument that should be refuted. So the negative team do not directly refute the arguments, therefore it should flow affirmative. And moving on to C, it was granted by the negative team in the previous speeches, and so they do agree that we will exploit the environment and find new medical resources and cures. Moving on to dissent number 1 about healthcare. 1, the negative team claimed that healthcare is good in Cuba. 2, I have evidence saying that healthcare is not good. Healthcare is not good in Cuba. I'm Ghana, as an ambassador, program.org, non-profit organization, to the United States maintains embargo against Cuba, June 25, 2013. A report by the American Association for World Health found that doctors in Cuba have access to less than 50% of the drugs on the world markets, and that food shortages led to a 33% drop in caloric intake between 1989 and 1993. The report stated, it is our experts' medical opinion that the U.S. embargo has caused a significant rise in suffering and even deaths in Cuba. What this piece of evidence saying, dear judges, is that the Cuban healthcare is a mess. They have access to less than 50% of the drugs on the world market, and they have a 33% drop in caloric intake, proving that the embargo is causing suffering and even death in Cuba. And this piece of article is better than their piece of article because it is by the American Association for World Health, which is the most qualified which are the most qualified people to be talking about healthcare anywhere in the world. Moving on to second dissent. 1, they claim that we are on the brink of recession. 2, that piece of evidence is from 2008, ladies and gentlemen. If it is from 2008 and we were on the brink in 2008, how come that we still are not in this recession? I think this recession is a fantasy, it is a speculation made by someone, and it is not true. Moving on to their third point, they say that we are engaging economically. We are, but we are not spending any money because we're removing a penalty, which is the trade embargo. And so if we're not spending, we will not cause this recession in the first place. Moving on to their third dissent. Their piece of evidence says that violation of human rights will cause recession and war. We do agree, but Castro is already violating human rights, and I would like you, Judge, to please take that piece of evidence and examine it for yourself, because it does not say that the embargo will enhance the violation of human rights. It says that violation of human rights will cause war, and the violation of human rights is already happening right now, so it is not the affirmative team's fault. To conclude, judges, I would like to say that we, the affirmative team, see that Cuba should have justice. And we as the affirmative team want to provide that because we have the ability to. So please vote affirmative because it is the rational thing to do. Thank you.